Hey, everybody. My name is Tanana Reeve.
And I'm Stephen Barnes.
We are novelists and screenwriters and educators. And most importantly,
This beautiful lady right here is absolutely the love of my life. And we've just had our 20-year anniversary. And my heart is so filled. I am so happy. And what we want to do is to share with you our story of how we discovered what we're calling the Geek's Guide to Soulmates. It's a soulmate process, a way of actually meeting the love of your life and actually creating an intentional life so that you can do this wherever you are in your journey.
absolutely. Are you a geek? You might be a geek if you like science fiction, fantasy, or horror.
Yeah, if you remember that Han shot first.
You might be a geek if your parents had to tell you to stop reading when you were a kid.
That's right. You might be a geek if you preferred comic books to candy at Halloween. Just geeks first of all, we're taking over the world.
Yes.
We are smart. We are inventive. We are driving technology. What used to be the sort of nerd and that's problematic has now become sexy and wonderful and terrific. But sometimes geeks don't you can master one aspect of the world, the math and the way things fit together like a puzzle, and you can still be confused about human beings.
And you can still feel super, super lonely. So I can't see you raising your hands, but raise your hands if, like me, it took you a long time before you ever had your first boyfriend.
Yeah.
I went all through high school and college without a boyfriend. I was in my life. It was a while. Okay. So it took a while.
So what we want to do is that by the time you finish listening to this, we want you to have a clear vision of what you can do to find the love of your life, to find the sweetheart of your dreams. And we want to give all the pain and the effort that we went through for all those years and take it and give it to you so you don't have to pay the same price. So pay careful attention. We really want to give this, what is in our hearts, to you.
If you watch until the end, we will teach you enough to know how to find the love of your life.
Absolutely. So let's see. We defined geeks, okay? And what we want to say is that what we're after here is what we call, what is it that you get if you get a soulmate? What you get is unstoppable love and sexual healing.
Ooh.
I mean, let's just be blunt. Isn't that what we want?
Right. And get it for life, which is what I always wanted. I wanted to find a life partner. My parents were married for a very long time before my mother passed away. I want to say, maybe almost 30 years. So it was a long time, and that was my model. And I always wanted that special person, didn't know how to find that special person. And we each underwent separate journeys to find each other.
For me, my mother and father were divorced by the time I was about 7 years old. So I had no model of what a healthy relationship was. I had to go out and put every piece of it together, like so many geeks. We have no models for things. We have to figure it out. And because I found a lot of really wonderful teachers and role models over the years, and they helped me do just exactly that so that I could get to the point where I can tell you honestly that I can help you with this. So
absolutely. And my parents were married more than 30 years. Now I'm thinking about it. So this is an opportunity we have to share our techniques with you and help you find your soulmate. Why don't you start by telling people what your journey was like?
Okay, I will. I also want to say before, we're going to teach you three things, basically. What a soulmate is. We're going to tell you why it's something that you can have. And we're going to tell you something about the rewards that are connected with finding that love. Okay. So my story, I could take it all the way back to the first girl I ever asked to go steady with me, where at the end of the day, she passed me a note saying, "Dear Steve, I wouldn't go with you if you were the last dog on earth." But that was junior high school. That was a long time ago.
It's a good thing you're over it, honey.
Not completely. There's always going to be a little boy inside me saying, "No, where's mine?" But the moment at which I think the pain really hit me was when I moved with my family from Los Angeles up to Vancouver, Washington. My wife at the time had said that she wanted to get out of earthquake country. But when I got up there, she had rented a place that was too small for me. And she let me know right then that she did not want to live with me anymore.
Mm.
This was something of a surprise. And it relates to mistakes that we both made in that marriage, mistakes that I never wanted to make again. But the point was that I ended up living in a 1-bedroom apartment with nothing but a bed, a television set, my dog, and a gun, and 1,000 miles away from any of my friends. It was the worst, the loneliest time of my life. And I've never wanted to commit suicide, but if suicide is going off the edge of the cliff, I could hear the rapids. I could hear the waterfall coming. I knew for the first time in my life, I understood how depression happens, how real despair happens. And I had to try to figure a way how to get out of this. And I used a series of techniques to start moving myself in that direction. And I actually ended up dating a lovely young lady who gave me a wonderful opportunity to be with her. And I blew it so badly. I had no idea what I was doing wrong, except that I had been married for so long that I'd been out of the dating game. I didn't understand the rules. So I had to sit back and ask myself how, with my heart on my sleeve, doing everything I possibly could right, how had I still blown it? And out of that, I discovered some things. The thing that I now call the soulmate process. By observing human beings as if I was a geek, as if I was an anthropologist from Mars, is the way I put it. And I started seeing things differently. And when I applied what I learned, it changed my life. I became, quite frankly, sexually magnetic. It was a strange thing. I'd never had that experience in my entire life. And I remember the day that I realized that I had crossed a threshold, that I had learned something. And it was at Clark Atlanta University that I made some decisions about what I wanted to do with this new power that I had.
And what a coincidence. Clark Atlanta University is where we met.
Absolutely. So that's my side of the story.
He was at the end of his journey to prepare himself to meet his soulmate. And I was in the middle of my journey to prepare myself to meet my soulmate. But before I went to Clark Atlanta, there were some really lonely years before that. I mean, actually, like I said, I didn't have a boyfriend all through college. I finally got my first boyfriend when I was in the working world at the Miami Herald newspaper, and we dated for 4 years, but the relationship didn't last. And after that, I had the hardest time out in the dating market. I was making bad decisions, attracted to the wrong people. Or
anybody, raise your hand if you've done that one.
Oh yeah, if you were emotionally unavailable, that was so hot to me. So that was my 20s. Let me rattle through. And then, but I did a lot of work on myself, like Steve did. We were really mirroring each other's paths in some interesting ways before we even met. But then, even when I was ready, I found that because I was a newspaper columnist, I actually wrote a dating column for the Miami Herald during this time, and I was a published novelist. I felt like a lot of the men I met were intimidated by me. So we'd have that first date, and I thought everything was fine, but they wouldn't call back, and it just felt like there was a tentativeness around men as they approach.
Let's see, she's beautiful, she's brilliant, she's successful. What would there be for a guy to be intimidated by?
For guys, that's like such a turn on for women, but for women, it doesn't always work that way, So that was well, thank goodness. But see, part of the soulmate process is finding that person who's looking for exactly what you are.
That's right.
So that's what happened. But during those years of frustration, and when I say that heartache went into probably my most popular novel, is called My Soul to Keep, and it's about a woman who's married to an immortal, but he's lied to her through the whole relationship.
You gotta read it. It's a great novel. It's one of the 100 best fantasy novels ever written, according to experts.
And so it was me trying to figure out what if guys aren't who you think they are and misrepresent themselves, but also from the woman protagonist point of view, what about a character who just won't see the problems that are right in front of her? So I actually went to a psychic at one point to try to find out where my soulmate was. And it was such an interesting experience because, and let me tell you, this visit to the psychic was 5 years before I met Steve. So that's a long time before I met Steve. And when I asked her, where is he? she was like, I don't see anything, not yet, which was so true. But then she said, oh, but you want to write a book, she said. And then she had all these predictions about how successful I was going to be as a novelist. Now, at the time, I thought, well, I'm a reporter, so it's not a stretch that I'm going to, to think that I might be a novelist. I was still skeptical, but I've never forgotten the last thing she said to me, which was, you become who you're supposed to become. And that's when you'll meet your man. Well, guess what? 5 years later, fast forward, I've published my first novel. Finally, that novel she was predicting or said she was. And on the basis of that, I was invited to a speculative fiction conference at Clark Atlanta University, where I met the late, great Octavia Butler, who is behind us, but also this man right here, Stephen Barnes. And so that was our soulmate journey story to each other. And we knew that weekend that we could really do something together.
I want to tell my version of what happened at Clark Atlanta. I was, in terms of having applied the soulmate process to myself to kind of broadcast an unusually clear signal to the world. I was getting sexual reactions from women like I had never gotten in my life. It was absolutely stunning. And by the time I got to the college, my brain was kind of full with it. I realized that something had happened here. I'd hit some threshold that I'd never hit before in my life. And trust me, my life up until that point had not been boring. No. But this was something different, qualitatively and quantitatively different, if you know what I mean. I think you do. And I'm going to say the absolute truth. I went to my room, which was in the dorms, getting ready for this conference.
Right next to mine.
And I got on my knees. I realized that with what I had discovered, I could be the dog of all time. I could be the greatest player I had ever met. And I didn't want that. What I wanted was someone to love. I wanted someone to cherish. I wanted a helpmate and a friend and a lover and someone who'd help me, raise a family. And I realized that the power that I'd uncovered could easily destroy me and destroy my dreams and destroy my hopes. I could have all sorts of false victories. But what I wanted was the real thing. And I prayed that night that God would bring me such a partner. And I remember very clearly stating that if I had to wait the rest of my life, I was willing to do it. And the next morning, I met Tananarive.
You mean you were stalked by Tananarive?
Yes.
Because I had heard his name a couple of weeks before the conference as someone who might be a good match for me. There was some information about him that turned out not to be accurate that made me think, I don't know about that. But I heard him going to his room because our rooms were right next door. So I think God was already looking out for you even before you got there. I was practically listening at the wall. So yeah, I tackled you as soon as you opened your door because I heard you open your door and I tackled you in the hallway. And I'm like, oh, Stephen Barnes, my name is Tananarive, blah, blah, blah. And I really was sort of looking toward him as a mentor. He had done some television writing and I wanted to learn more about television writing.
And I swear to God, all I thought when I met her and we had breakfast together and I read part of her first novel, The Between, and I realized that she was an exceptional talent. And my only thought was, how can I help her? I was prepared to adopt her like a little sister. I really was. And it wasn't until later that something changed in me.
You spoke. He's an incredible public speaker. He heard me speak. I myself as a public speaker. And we kind of had already figured out individually, wow, I want to really know more about this person. I mean, he lived in Washington State and I lived in Miami, but we're like, what, is there something here? So we had to take some shortcuts to show each other who we were.
And when she came down off the stage, I realized, oh my God, this woman is brilliant. She is everything that I'm looking for in a partner. And living on opposite sides of the country, it's like I've got a very limited time frame to catch her attention and show her who I am. I've got to get her attention right now. And she's down off the stage signing autographs for people. And I looked around the room. We're going to be leaving this conference the next day. So what do I do? What do I do? I looked around the room and there was a woman sitting 2 seats away from me with a baby on her lap. I looked at the woman. I said, excuse me, ma'am. Can I borrow your baby? She looked at me and she said, what?
And then she was like, yeah,
And
I'll have them back Tuesday.
I said, I just love kids and I'd really like to be able to play with them. So she said, and she knew who I was because she was at the conference. So she didn't think it was too much of a chance of me being a serial killer. And so she loaned me her baby, and I got down on the floor in front of Tananari, who was signing autographs, and I started playing with the baby in front of her. I knew that if she had the values that I thought she had, if she was who I thought she was, that me opening my heart like that and saying in the clearest terms possible, this is who I am. I love children.
I noticed.
If what I am, if what I seem to be looks like what you're looking for, give me a chance. Give us let's slow down for a moment. Let's talk to each other. Let's find out what this is. Because of all the conversations we'd had earlier, because of what I knew about her from her writing and the people who knew her, I figured I had that intuitive flash that what was appropriate at this moment was honesty. No games, no playing, nothing. If I had not genuinely loved kids, that would have been one of the nastiest things I could possibly have done. But it was the truth.
And he had a daughter from a previous marriage. So, there is a reality where he might not have wanted to have more kids. It would have been dishonest to roll around with a baby. But in fact, that is who Steve is. And we do love kids. And we're still raising a 14-year-old son. So we were done with games. We had done the work. And we seemed to recognize each other on sight. It felt very much like love at first sight.
Very much like that. Within 48 hours.
Right. It's like, and it's not exactly that it was love at first sight, because it wasn't literally we just saw each other.
It was respect at first sight.
We heard each other's thoughts. We saw each other speak. We could read each other's work, but also we had done so much preparatory work before we ever met that it gave us the eyes to recognize us standing right in front of each other.
Now, here's what happened. We were stunned by how powerful this connection was. And the question we had is, first of all, is this real? The second one is it possible to share this with people? I mean, if what we've got is real, is this not what everybody says that they're looking for? What in our hearts, don't we all want, that unstoppable love and sexual healing? And isn't that really what we want? Is there a way to help other people with this? What this is so important and so powerful that we waited 20 years. We looked at this from so many different directions. And you were the relationship columnist for the Miami Herald. I've been a life coach for years, and I've created an entire system of personal development called life writing. And I wanted to be absolutely certain, not just that we knew what this was and knew how to teach it, but that our relationship itself was real. And like I said, we just had our 20th anniversary, and we kind of looked at each other and said, I guess it's real.
We thought about it. We thought about it at the 10-year mark. And, somehow it just didn't feel like enough time. But after 20 years.
Yeah, it's like, what are we waiting for?
After 20 years of waking up next to my best friend, after 20 years of creative collaboration with my favorite collaborator, after
5 novels,
20 years, we've co-authored
close to a million words.
We've co-authored at least 7 novels, I'd say.
Tennyson novels and Two Devil's Way.
6.
Yeah, and then short stories and
scripts. We also have our individual work. We keep our individual space. We've been co-raising children for more than 20 years.
We work out together. We go see horror movies together. We just saw Halloween. That was great.
That was great. So the point is, I know there are so many people out there who were like me when I was younger and really wanted to find what we have and didn't even know how to begin. I did the work as a relationship columnist. Yes, I wanted to help readers, but honestly, I was mostly trying to help myself. And I learned a lot while I was doing that. He learned a lot on his individual
And
paths.
I actually coached people. Many people said that they got through their shyness. They found their soulmate. They found their partners. And, it's been beautiful that there are marriages that give me credit for things that I gave them for finding each other. I just still remember the first time that ever happened. At the Los Angeles Science Fantasy Society, a guy who was too shy to approach a girl, and we sat and talked. And I did not understand the soulmate process, and this was a long time ago. This was like 40 years ago. But the joy I felt when they got together, and they're still together to this day. And I said, oh my God, I help people create a lifetime bond. How do I replicate this? Is it possible to create a replicable process, a step-by-step process that will help people find happiness, true joy, true passion, that unstoppable love and sexual healing? If it is possible to do that, when and how do I begin to teach it? And what I want to say is that we've decided that the time is now, and that modern technology makes it possible for us to teach people that we're separated from by distance.
Yeah, so we can offer a course that is video webinars like these, digital downloads that you can take any place, anytime, from anywhere in the world. And we've called it the Geek's Guide to Soulmates.
The Geek's Guide to Soulmates. Let me tell you very briefly what you're going to get. It's going to be a 5-week class that's going to start in January. Now, that means you're not going to have to wait until January to start getting the goodies, because immediately when you buy it, you're going to start the process you're going to start the soulmate process. We've got stuff for you immediately. So let's talk about what you're going to get in the 5-week class. The first week is week number 1, defining soulmates and healing your heart. Week number 2 is designing your perfect lover. Week number 3 is understanding relationships without guilt, blame, and shame.
Week number 4 is escaping the friend zone to get to the end zone.
Oh, what could you mean?
How to close the deal. If you're tired of sex without love or love without sex, how do you create that relationship that will take you all the way through to the end? And week number 5, the care and feeding of your soulmate. Meeting your soulmate is just the beginning of the soulmate journey. The rest is the nurturing of that relationship so that you too can reach that 20-year mark and beyond.
Falling in love every day. Because one thing, let me just give you a hint. Relationships are a process, not a product. You know, they are a matter of your commitment every day to being the best person you can be, and helping the person you love be the best person that they can be. And trying to find ways to keep that commitment every day, to keep opening it up and looking at it and saying, how can I help this grow? But that's connected to what you're doing within yourself to help yourself grow, to help love yourself, nurture yourself, heal your own heart. So we've got tools that are going to help you with every step of this. Our commitment is to giving you all the tools you need to get there. And we've got a very special offer for you, because this first class is going to be the first time we've ever taught this, and we want your help. We want you to help us understand what is necessary to make certain that people get everything that we're saying. So we're going to, as soon as you sign up, you're going to get what's called the Ancient Child, which is a fantastic visualization to heal your emotions at the core level. You're going to be able to join our private Facebook group, where you're going to be able to communicate with us and with other people talking about these issues and moving yourself along the way. But that's just where it starts. Before the class starts in January, there's going to be a morning ritual, what you do every day in order to prepare yourself for this. There's going to be additional forms of visualization and meditation. The heartbeat, the Anahata meditation, the most powerful form I know for emotional healing. There'll be a complete workbook for the entire class. There'll be worksheets for designing that perfect lover. And
build a bear, but it's build a soulmate.
That's right. There's going to be what we call 2020. 20 interviews with people who have had relationships, loving relationships, for more than 20 years, and how to model them. So by reading over what they have to say and listening to what they have to say, you will be able to take a look at the principles that we're talking about and see how they actually work. We'll also be giving you ways to go out and find people who have these relationships and ask them for yourselves. Don't just trust us. Go out and do it yourself. This is the most important thing in your world. You have to take responsibility for it. You have to believe that you can be joyful, you can be happy, you can be loved and passionate. Now, by the end of the class, we will have the audio transcripts, we'll have downloads, and even more. We're going to be adding more things to this, but you're going to help us. And because you're going to be helping us, because you're going to be the first group to go through this process, we've got an incredible deal for you. The truth is, they were always used to trying to give 10 times as much value as anything that we charge.
Absolutely.
But we're going further than that this time. What we're doing is, if you Join now. The first 100 people who join will be grandfathered in. As we go over the next months, over the next years, we're going to be creating the best product to produce this process ever made. And if you get in now, everything that we offer those additional people in terms of this basic product, even if the price goes up to $1,000, which it's going to, if I have anything to say about it, you will get it all if you're one of the first 100 people. As we create things, we will just give them to you. We'll charge other people more and more, but you'll get it all. So you're going to get the 5-week class, the Soulmate morning ritual, the transcripts, the audios, the visualizations, the social media group. You're going to get everything that you need step by step to be happy and love yourself enough to be able to trust yourself to open your heart and find the love that you've always been looking for.
And if you were like me and you've had some heartache and you've made some bad choices and you have found people who haven't treated you well, we will address all of those issues in our live classes. And there's a chat function so you can chat with other people.
And in the social media group. The social media group starts immediately.
Right. And so, that's one place to start meeting people right away. All of that is available to you at this introductory offer.
Just take a look on the page. Price is right there. The button's right there. Everything that you need to take your step is right there. And you can get started today. 90 seconds from now, you can be on your way to finding the love of your life and to connecting with the joy and the passion, that unstoppable love and sexual healing that you deserve, that you write down, that's what you've always wanted, don't you? Can you imagine a life where you get to spend every day with the person that you love, and every time you look at them, you can't believe how lucky you are? Because that's the way I feel about tea. I cannot believe how lucky I am.
Well, we begin every day with gratitude. We did the work, but we feel so lucky that we found each other. And we really do want to help other people find what we have. So sign up for the class and we'll see you when we start the live webinars in January.
And we'll also see you over on the Facebook page. As soon as you're there, we'll be there to say hi to you. Take care. Thank you for listening.